Hi everyone, it's Emma. Today I wanted to do my May wrap-up and June TBR, so to be read. So let's get going. In no particular order, the first book, Kira Cass the Siren. This is kind of like a modern retelling of The Little Mermaid. It is about a girl named Kathleen. She is on a boat with her family, and the boat gets destroyed. But the sirens, which are kind of like mermaids, come and save her, but she has to become a siren. So she becomes a siren mermaid, and then she falls in love with a human boy, and what happens after that? So, yeah, I love the cover, and I think that's kind of what got me wanting to read it. So it's a very nice cover. So Kira Cass the Siren was the first one. I would probably give this 3 or 4 stars out of 5. So there's that one. This one here is Kill Me Softly by Sarah Cross. This is part of a duology, I believe. And it's kind of like modern, it's like fairy tales in our world, so kind of like the TV show Once. And this one kind of focuses on Sleeping Beauty. And it's about a girl named Mirabelle. She wants to find out more about her past, so she goes to this town, and everyone in this town are fairy tale creatures who live in our world. And she finds out that she's the Sleeping Beauty character. And what happens after that? You know, can people change from their destiny of being cursed or being a fairy tale creature? So that was this one. The second one, I believe, is Snow White. And the author had planned to do a third book, so I think she was thinking of a trilogy. And the third one was going to be kind of focused on Beauty and the Beast, because she introduced the characters in here. But the publisher who she was contracted with, from what I understand, went out of business. So I hope one day we get the third book of this, because it would be really, I would really want to read it. So there's that one. The next one, continuing on the fairy tale theme, and I've been trying to read like a book, a Beauty and the Beast book every month. So the next one is Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge. This one was a very interesting retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It kind of mixed the fairy tale with like Greek and Roman mythology in there. So there's like a demon beast guy who got cursed by the gods, and then the girl, her name is Nyx, she has to marry him to start breaking the curse to help her town, and then it's what happens from there. I do like the cover. You can kind of see the rose, the Beauty and the Beast symbol there. So it was good. I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars. It definitely kept my interest in like wanting to know what happened, because it was just enough differences to go, oh, I think I know what's happening, but wait, how are they going to do it? So it was pretty good. The next one was Eliza and Her Monsters. I did a full review on this, and I'll link that down below, so I won't talk about it too much, but this is a story about Eliza. She draws a webcomic, and she likes the computer world more than she likes being out in the real world. And then one day at her school, a guy comes, and she doesn't know, but he's like a big fan of her webcomics, and he writes fan fiction, and they start, she starts to like him, he starts to draw her out, but they both have stuff in their past where they have to just fight their monsters, their demons. So it was really good. So by Francesca Zappia. What I do like about this book, I probably showed this a lot, but I still like it. It's peppered with drawings. So I really like that. Throughout the book, so you kind of see like the stuff that she drew for her webcomic. So there's that. So Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. The next one, Flame in the Mist by Renee Adeli. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. This is kind of like a Mulan retelling. This is a story of Mariko, and she dresses up as a boy to go undercover and, for this kind of like a band of outlaws that she thinks had tried to kill her, so she wants to find out why they tried to kill her. And this book is set in feudal Japan, and I kind of like how they talk about, samurais, they talk about the emperor, and there's just so many twists and turns in this book that it just keeps you guessing. One of the only similarities between Mulan is that she dresses up as a boy to find out this stuff. The ending left on a cliffhanger, and I didn't know if this was going to be like a duology or what. So when I read the ending and it was a cliffhanger, and I was like, this is a terrible book. But then I found out that it looks like it's going to be a duology. So we'll get the second part of what happens. So I'm pretty excited about that. I would give this a 4.5 stars because it was just very gripping and just like took you and you wanted to find out, and there's like twists and turns and all that. So it's very good. The next one, Windfall by Jennifer Smith. This is a story about a girl named Alice, and she gets her best friend Teddy a lottery ticket for his birthday. And he wins. So he becomes like this multi-millionaire, and he tells her, the money's not going to change me, but it does. And it's kind of like what happens, how they deal with that. So it's a nice fluffy contemporary. There was a couple things that got annoying for me with the characters, but they are in high school, so just them making not quite good decisions at some points. But it was funny and very entertaining read. So I would give this a 3 or 4 stars out of 5. So Windfalls. The last one I read was Defy the Stars by Claudia Gray. I got this in the previous uppercase. Windfall was also uppercase, and actually Eliza and Her Monsters was all crate, where I got them from. So Defy the Stars is a sci-fi book. I don't usually read sci-fi books, but this one was actually very interesting. It was slow going at first, and took me a while to start getting into it. But after the first maybe 4 or 5 chapters, it starts picking up, and you're like, oh, I want to find out, oh, what's happening now, kind of story. So this is a story about Naomi, and she's kind of a fighter. So what happens was that Earth has become full of humans, but they just send robots to go conquer other planets. And then but they kind of destroyed Earth a bit, so they had to go to another planet, so humans are on the other planet, and she meets this robot named Abel, but he has artificial intelligence, but he's become more than just a robot, and it's kind of interesting where the questions kind of posed in this book is, if you're not 100% sure someone has a soul, do you want to destroy it? Because at first she thinks Abel is just a machine, and she's like, oh, she has no qualms about having him destroy stuff for her. But then she starts thinking, wait a minute, he's a person. Does he have a soul? And she's like, well, if I'm not 100% sure that he doesn't have a soul, I don't want to destroy him. So it's kind of their mission to save the galaxy, but all that other stuff in the back of her mind. So it's how they kind of work through that. The ending made me think that there's going to be a second part. It was a good ending. It was a good ending, and it could stand alone. But I'm kind of wondering if I just feel that there could be more in this universe that she created. I would give this a 4 stars out of 5 because it was a very entertaining read. So those were the books that I read in May. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So not too bad. And I was watching my last to be read video, and I chose 5. And I think I only read 2 out of the 5 books because I kept getting distracted with other books. And in May, there was just a lot of new books that came out from publishers that I wanted to read. So I just chose 3 books that I want to get through. The first one is A Tale as Old as Time by Liz Braswell. This is the next book in my retellings of Beauty and the Beast. So I think it's probably be a quick read, but there's one of them. The second one I wanted to do was Cleopatra. I kept starting this book. I'm like that much, and it's very interesting. This is a Pulitzer Prize book. I want to try to vary my reading and read some more biography type of stuff. And but I just been getting so distracted with other books, so I want to read this one. And then the next one I want to read is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabia Tahar. I kept hearing so many good things about this, and I kind of feel like I want to read a dystopian book. So this seems like an interesting one. It's about this. It's kind of in this Romanesque type of land, and this girl has to go undercover to find out what happened to her brother, and she meets a soldier who doesn't really want to, who starts seeing things in the government that are not good, I think, but that's, it seems like an interesting book, and it got a lot of good reviews. So those are the 3 books I want to read. I will hopefully read more books than that, because I have like 5 books that I already started, and So that is what I read in May and my TBR list. Hope you're like this video. What are books that you want to read this next month? Let me know. Like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Thanks. Bye.